What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on in to the PWTorch Fireside Chat WWE NXT Preview. I'm PWTorch Assistant Editor Zack Heydorn. Glad you're here with me. I'm glad to be here as always. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for pressing play here on the show this week. If you're looking to get ahead and get a little taste of what's happening on NXT, do us a favor. As always, let's take care of a little bit of business. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, much appreciated on both accounts. Really helps us out, and we've worked hard to really kind of build a fun community here, and so join us on that ride and hit subscribe. We are live every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday we've got our Raw preview. We preview NXT Tuesday. Today, Dynamite tomorrow. We have our flagship show with myself and Tyler Sage on Thursday afternoons at 4:30 Eastern. 4 Eastern. And then Friday, we preview WWE SmackDown. So we got you covered here on the PWTorch YouTube channel. Again, be here for those shows. I think you're going to be glad that you are. To everybody watching, hello. What's up, Dennis? Good to see you, man. Glad you were able to join another show. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, as they say. Thank you very much. What are you expecting from NXT tonight? Are you watching? Are you not watching? What interests you? What doesn't? Let me know, and we will chat about it. NXT. From a ratings perspective tonight is going to have some issues, I think, and that's not because the card is super weak. I don't think it's particularly strong, but you're going up against major competition as far as the MLB playoffs go. I mean, they started over the weekend, and with the wild card round, and tonight is the start of the divisional round. So, man, it's going to be. I think the ratings probably are going to be a bit of a bloodbath, to be completely frank, because there's nothing on this show that I think there is some good stuff, but not anything like solid mainstream stuff. You're not you don't have or when I say mainstream, like NXT wrestling mainstream, you don't have a Bron Breakker championship match. You don't have a tag team championship match or a women's. I mean, it's just there's not that marquee attraction right now. I mean, on the show tonight, and so that plus the fact that you're going up against the competition, I think it's going to be a bit of a a bit of a bloodbath. But hey, look, what are you going to do? You're going to counter program as best as you can, and I think that's the strategy, just all in all, for WWE right now. Whether it's going up against Major League Baseball or going up against Monday Night Football, like you gotta do your thing, keep the competition in the mind's eye so that you know what you're up against. But I don't know that you really need to, or you should drastically alter your plans either, because that can hurt business down the road. Yeah, Dennis. Yeah, NXT Rampage. I love it. I love it, but it's funny, but it's also kind of sad but true at the same time. If you just joined us, thank you very much. Welcome on into the PWTorch Fireside Chat to preview WWE NXT. Would love your comments on the show tonight. Drop a line in there and let me know what you're looking forward to. We'll chat all about it. If you got a question about NXT, throw it in there too. What's up, Sean? Good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us. Always a pleasure to see your name pop up there. Appreciate it. So this is the lineup for tonight. It's it's kind of a jam-packed lineup, but with a lot of kind of, I don't know, questionable stuff. So you have Bron Breakker, who's going to kick off the show, by the way, with a match against Javier Bernal. They built that up last week. They had Bernal kind of interrupt the Bron Breakker promo, and now they're having a match. So that'll kick off the show, and they're announcing that in advance, I think, to try to draw that number. Hassan, welcome on in. Appreciate you being here. Thank you. So here's the thing. Bron Breakker, this match, I don't know what this does in terms of Bron Breakker's like WWE's ability to tell what Bron Breakker is made of and what he can do. Like I don't know that how this helps him. Like this to me, like Bron Breakker is I think a star. Like he's gonna be in WWE's plans for quite some time. And the thing is, like, I don't know that you really know yet what you have fully in him because he's still pretty green in the ring. Like he kind of hits his spots, and when he's in there with a strong opponent, he'll be able to succeed and hang and like we saw with Ciampa and Santos Escobar and Tyler Bate. Like he's been in there with like a who's who of like the top workers in NXT. And that's not to say Bernal is not a good worker. It's just, I don't know that we're going to get that kind of match out of him. And what I worry is, he's been so protected in those other matches because he has good opponents around him. Like, will he stand out in any way here on this show because he's not working a top tier talent? So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that shakes out. I mean, we really will. And maybe they have a go out there and have a really good match. That would be really good. But at the same time, it's like, man, you don't want to expose him if you don't have to. So this will be an interesting little match. I'm expecting this thing to go fast. Like I don't know that your NXT champion should be, going back and forth 50-50 for 10 minutes against Javier Bernal. Like I don't think that that's the correct booking here. To me, if there's ever a time to do like a kind of like the best of Bron Breakker, if you will, it's in this match. Couple spears, couple punches, couple chants, and then call it a day, and then right off into the sunset. So Bron Breakker obviously is going to win this. There's no question. Halloween Havoc, he goes up against Ilya Dragunov and JD McDonough for the NXT Championship triple threat. What the question is, and we're starting to see this kind of come to life in the chat here. Like Bron is getting better. Yes, he is, Sean. Hazan jumping in. Bron Breakker needs to retire as NXT champ and then move up to the main roster. And Dennis, I think puts a good kind of bow on it. How do you do that in a storyline? Like he trades his belt for a shot at the Universal title. Like, maybe not. But the bottom line is everyone's wondering, okay, what does his main roster integration look like? And I think that's a really good question to answer because to me, it's like in a Vince McMahon WWE, I think Bron Breakker maybe is elevated, like fundamentally, maybe he's elevated quicker in a Vince McMahon world because he's got a good look. He's got the push behind him in NXT. He's somebody that Vince McMahon kind of handpicked as far as like, okay, this is going to be a big focus of NXT. So, on one hand, it's like, all right, but does he have the same support in a Triple H led WWE? I think fundamentally, I would say probably not. However, you saw at Extreme Rules, Bron Breakker is there in the crowd, like, getting some screen time, getting some promotion, getting some hype on the WWE main roster product. And like, to me, that matters. Nikita Lyons was also there. I think that I think that matters a lot in terms of what Triple H thinks and how he's going to be integrated and how he'll be treated. And more so than just him, but how Triple H's NXT talent in general is going to be treated on the main roster. Because look, guys, I mean, you name an NXT star and we can all pretty much say how that went on the main roster, right? I mean, everybody from Shinsuke Nakamura and even like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, they're big stars in the WWE environment, but they're not the same type of star that they were in NXT. And you had guys that just weren't going to get a chance up there that were NXT. Adam Cole, Ciampa's kind of been misused and kind of disappeared. I mean, and then obviously Kyle O'Reilly, Finn Balor is somebody that is getting a bit of a new push right now, but hadn't for years and years and years and years. Yeah, I do know that he's got him working on main event for sure, and that's interesting, and it's been like the key guys too. But actually, it hasn't been the key guys. You had Fallon Henley and Briggs and Jensen work in main event last week. And then this week, I know you had Von Wagner and you had Carmelo Hayes. That to me is more like eye-opening as far as, okay, like maybe a call-up's on the horizon. I don't know. Carmelo Hayes is not, we'll talk about him in a little bit. So Bron Breakker was on the main roster for like a hot second. He beats Ziggler on Raw. I want to say that was the night after WrestleMania to win the NXT Championship. He had a decent showing then, but it was one of those things that was so random and so out of the blue that you couldn't really even take anything from it, Sean. It was kind of irrelevant, I think, in his trajectory. I really don't think, even if you do remember it, you're not going to factor it in, or it shouldn't even be factored into like how you analyze Bron Breakker's potential. Von Wagner, not a fan. Sean, I am not a fan either. My goodness gracious, the guy. He's going to get every opportunity in the world because he's got a crazy good look and he's huge. So look. Triple H, Paul Levesque likes the Johnny Garganos of the world. He likes the Finn Balor's of the world and the Adam Coles of the world, no question. But he's a bit of a body guy too, right? And I just think Von Wagner, because of that size, he's going to get every chance that he's going to get every chance possible. I haven't seen it yet with him. I just have not seen it with him. Like every promo that he has, it feels like he's just a robot reading a script. His matches are one note. He doesn't have any energy. I don't find him to be all that charismatic. So yeah, Sean, I'm right there with you, dude. Okay. Let's keep it going here. We also have on tonight's show a triple threat tag team #1 contender match to find the next set of challengers for Pretty Deadly. And so it's Briggs and Jensen, it's the Dyad, and it's Idris Enof and Malik Blade that will be competing against one another. This is interesting because I kind of think that Pretty Deadly's, they're heels, right? And I'm loving what they're doing in NXT. By the way, I said this last week on the preview show that they are ripe for this era of WWE. They're talented in the ring. They can go, and they've got believable characters. They have chemistry together, and they bring out that kind of natural chemistry. I think brings out the best in their opponents too. So I'm really high on them as a team. I look at this, and it's not going to be the Dyad, right? Because they're heels and Pretty Deadly's heels, and not that that's mattered in WWE or NXT or AEW or elsewhere. That line gets blurrier and blurrier all the time. However, you just don't want those two teams colliding right now. It's like you have this thing building with the Dyad. And they need heat, and I don't think they can get heat on a team like Pretty Deadly, and vice versa. Pretty Deadly is a team that needs heat too, and I think you can't put them in a position where they're not going to get the heat that they need. So I don't see that being a feud. Briggs and Jensen, they've kind of been there and done that. And Sean, I'm gonna disagree with you here in a minute, but respectfully, of course. But I think you're right. Briggs and Jensen are more the character-based guys, and Idris and Malik can just pretty much just go in the ring, like crazy good athletics, and just just hard hitting matches. So there's a big difference there between those two babyface teams. Like I said, character-based stuff with Briggs and Jensen, and Idris and Malik. Just you have that athleticism, that in ring that Briggs and Jensen don't have. Now, I'm gonna go with Idris and Malik here. That's the way I'm going, and the only reason is because it seems as if like Briggs and Jensen are kind of on the hot streak, and the hot, riding the hot wave up to the main roster. Like they were on a main event, like we talked about. They, they haven't had like any kind of signature NXT like feud. I mean, they've had like little stuff and little one-offs, but it tells me that they may not be getting invested in NXT because they have a future on the main roster that's relatively soon. If they would just have not been on TV at all and wouldn't have made that main event appearance, then I think you can say, okay, they've fallen out of favor. But that's not the case. To me, I read this as like, okay, they're in the plans, and so because of that, we need to keep them free of gold in NXT. And plus, I think Idris and Malik, I don't think anybody can really argue this point that they could have like a hell of a match with Pretty Deadly. I mean, that's like I think that's like a takeover worthy match between those four from an in-ring perspective. And Sean, I don't either, to be honest. Like, I think that's kind of what's on the horizon, but I'm not either. And I'm beginning to think that, like, you want to be called to the main roster, no doubt about it. Like, if you're in NXT, money's better. That's what you want. Brighter lights, no question that's what you want. But we've seen some acts get called up to the main roster, and they've been called up because they fit certain spots on the card and within the show, and not necessarily because they're just like the most ready. I think you can get called to the main roster for a variety of different reasons. Okay, the best one being, well, they're this huge NXT star, and now we want to make a whole lot of money with them, on the main roster. That's the best case scenario. But you also have things like, if they need like an extra comedy act, or they're weak on tag teams, like and just like the logistics. There's a lot of reasons why acts can be called up to the main roster, and so I don't think that Briggs and Jensen are ready, but that they're not going to turn down a main roster opportunity either. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm going with Idris and Malik to win that one. We've got Alba Fire versus JC Jane on the way to Fire versus Mandy Rose at Halloween Havoc for the NXT Women's Championship. I wish I had more to say on this one. Except that this is an avenue to further the story for Alba Fire and Mandy Rose. I mean, that's what it is. I talked last week. I like the Alba Fire gimmick. Like, when I watch that in action, to me, it looks like a gimmick that is main roster worthy, like main roster ready. It's big, it's theatrical, it's got this kind of like undertone of fire throughout it. Like, I just think that she can work too, and she's got credibility as well within the NXT WWE environment, being I think she's the longest reigning NXT or the NXT UK Women's Champion, I believe. Somebody corrected me on that. Hazan, I'm looking at you because you normally do. So yeah, like, I think this can work. I think Alba Fire is going to get the win tonight, clean. I don't know that she's going to beat. I don't know that she's going to beat Mandy Rose, and frankly, I don't know that she should. Like, I don't know who can or who should at this point. But Alba Fire, it just doesn't feel like there's a groundswell of momentum for her winning the NXT Women's Championship at the moment. Like, and because that's not there, I am of the thought, and this is consistent across all championships, not just this and not just because of Mandy Rose, that if you got this long reigning champion and it's working, I don't know that you pivot from it until you have a for sure or as close to a for sure piece as you can get on the back end. That's in that situation here. It's the same situation with Roman Reigns up on the main roster. I think there's people coming into focus up there that you could look at and go, all right, I wonder, I wonder what's going to happen here. I wonder if this guy's going to be able to beat Roman Reigns, or this guy's getting hot enough. He's going to be a player in the Roman Reigns sweepstakes. I don't think it's that defined. Same thing with Jade Cargill. Yep. Good point, Dennis. There's equity in beating her in Roman and really a lot of the champions in WWE at this point. I mean, on AEW too, like for that matter. I think that in WWE especially, you've got a lot of champions who have held the belt, have held the belt for a considerable amount of time. And so, like, because of that, I think it makes for compelling matchups when those championships are on the line. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with this one. Obviously, as I said, Alba Fire is going to get the win here. Sean, good comment. This is a test for JC, and Alba needs to win. Like Alba Fire, I like Alba Fire a lot. She's very charismatic. She really is. I mean, she just the way she's adapted to this new character from the Kaylee Ray days in NXT UK. Like, to me, this is a better fit, to be honest. You know, I know that the Kaylee Ray gimmick was a decent one, and it one rooted in, you know, being a good wrestler and a heel champion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But this to me, like, just works better overall. I mean, look, the bottom, you know, you need to be a brand in WWE. You need to be somebody that can push merch and have a good shirt and, you know, have a good look and have a fun entrance that's memorable. Like that, all that stuff matters. And, you know, Alba Fire right now has that in droves. And so if she can just keep bringing it in the ring, I think she's going to be a player in the next, you know, in 2023 for the NXT women's division. On the show, we also have Channing Lorenzo. That's Stacks, for those of you who are keeping track, against Wes Lee. Wes Lee, all over the place in terms of, like, God, he just got dealt a bad deck of cards or a bad hand of cards with the MSK stuff. I think they were really kind of, you know, they were really making that thing something when his partner was let go from the company. And then, well, Wesley's kind of been out there on his own, just trying to find his way. And I mean, you know, he's had some big wins. He's had some just strange losses too. And so, like, he hasn't had like a consistent direction for him. It's been like start and stop as far as the pushes go. Start, stop. And he got a big win over Tony D'Angelo. And I don't know if that was the final, like that was supposed to be the finish. As we know, D'Angelo injured his knee during that match that he had with Wesley, and you know, so Wesley won the match, and he's in the ladder match for the North American Championship at Halloween Havoc. But that's the story, and like we're gonna see him wrestle Stacks tonight on the show. Like, Sean, answer your question. I think he's a pretty talented guy. Like, he stood out to me. I can't remember any singles matches in which he stood out. But what stands out with him to me is the 6-man tag match he had with him and Tony D'Angelo, or like Tony D'Angelo and his tag team against Legado del Fantasma. That it opened like a premium live event. A while ago now. I don't know, at the beginning of the summer, late spring. And I saw a lot from him in that. I mean, he was crisp. He worked so fast. That match, like, still resonates with me as far as just how freaking fast they worked it. And, you know, Stacks, held up his end of the bargain and was right there. So yeah, I think I go out of your way to kind of see some of his work for sure, especially that 6-man tag. I'll try to throw up on Twitter what event that was on, so you guys can. The In Your House, that's what it was. Yes, In Your House this year. Thank you, Azan. Watch that match. If you haven't seen that match, ladies and gentlemen, it's a heck of a match. Like, it's going to forever be forgotten, most likely, because it's NXT 2.0 and it's teams that weren't really defined at that point in time. But man, they went all out. I mean, they went all out, to in that match to show something. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, Azan just bringing it with the trivia. Hazan, I gotta know, like, have you won any sort of wrestling trivia? Because man, you are on it with these answers. Let me know. All right, last but not least, and what I believe is the main event. It's Nathan Frazer versus Axiom 3. And the winner of this will not only win, the final showdown in their best 2 out of 3 series, but that winner will also be entered into the North American Championship ladder match on at Halloween Havoc. This series has been awesome. Like, again, people may not remember this in 10 years, most likely not, but man, it's some good wrestling. I mean, Nathan Frazer and Axiom, they've had 2 matches together now. They've had 2 different styles of matches too, which I think is cool. And like, to me, the Axiom won the match that was more Frazier style, and Frazier won the match that was more Axiom's style. And they're similar in styles, but the little minute tweaks, I think they both kind of circled around and got the victory. So there's some irony there. But I expect this third match to just be awesome, and my guess is it's going to be in the main event position, or maybe like top of the second hour position. So it should get some time. I can see pulling the trigger on both of this. I mean, like, who do you think goes over? I mean, I really can see you pulling the trigger in both directions, and I don't really know that you can go wrong pulling it in either direction at this point either. I'm going with Nathan Frazer if it's up to me. That guy, like, go watch some of his GCW work if you haven't done so already. He's really a talented guy, and I feel like we've only seen probably like maybe like 60% of what he can do. I mean, he's just a great worker. He's got to find the character. I don't think we've really seen him nail down that character piece yet. So he absolutely has to find that. But once he does, and if he does, like, I think his talking will get better because he'll have something to keep it grounded and keep it rooted. But also, just I think his presentation and ceiling will grow when he finds that character piece. It's so important, and he is kind of missing that right now. So yeah, I'm going with Nathan Frazer. I think the upside is higher, and so that's the direction I'm going. And then you get to see him in a ladder match at Halloween Havoc, and that's exciting stuff. That's exciting stuff as well. That's the show tonight. I wonder what kind of build we'll get, if any, for the Bron Breakker title defense. Obviously, we've got some other things going on the show that aren't here, like the Joe Gacy, Cameron Grimes stuff. That, like, I mean, I would imagine that there's probably some continuation of that story in the triple threat tag team that Dyad is involved with. I think we can expect that. But other than that, it's kind of a stacked show tonight, but not stacked with like top tier stuff. Like, this very much seems like a middle of the road type show going up against MLB playoffs, which is going to be a problem for them for the next few weeks, as I said at the top of the show. Guys, we hit the 30-minute mark. We will wrap it up right on there. Quick Bears talk. Yes, your Bears are getting better. Just wanted to throw that in. My Packers struggled a little bit. Hey man, your Packers are going to be just fine. Is my guess. Yeah, the Giants got the best of you, But hey, they got the best the Bears too. The Bears got to run it back on Thursday night this week against the Redskins. So we'll see. Redskins. I said Redskins. They're Commanders. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Fields has been a little bit better, Sean. So let's keep being super positive about that. Let's go Ravens. Yeah, nah, no way. Boo Ravens, boo Ravens. Wentz always throws games away. Yeah, he does. He sure does. And hopefully he throws it to the Bears a couple times. All right. We will wrap it up right there. Thanks to everybody who joined the show live. Thanks to everybody who listened to this on demand before NXT tonight. For Dennis, Sean, Azan, and everyone else who joined us. Thank you. Subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow a pretty great community here, and we have join us. We're live every week, every day, right here talking pro wrestling. So other things you can check out, I've got an interview coming up probably like late tomorrow or Thursday with Davey Vega, who is the AEW Heritage Champion. AEW is a Chicago promotion that has a really big show this weekend, 2-night thing, and Vega is great, and he just went in depth on a multitude of different topics. So hopefully you guys will check that out when it hits the feed. But that's why you got to subscribe, so you know when new stuff hits the feed. Search PWTorch YouTube and find us and subscribe there. With that said, thank you very much. We'll see you guys tomorrow for an AEW Dynamite preview. I'll catch you then. Later.